This is Dina Marie, and I'm back with Michael Kissinger. He's a professional clarinetist, conductor, composer, producer, also the artistic director for this amazing Vancouver Wine and Jazz Festival at the end of August. Tickets are going on sale right now. And as I mentioned, Michael, I really see this as a retreat because if you just go for a one day, you miss out. When you come on retreat, you got to have time to just get into the environment, just let go of the technology, let the Lord work in that space. You've got beauty, you've got arts, you've got amazing music, you've got friends, you've got things that we can learn about. And the food and the wine and the craft beers are all part of that environment. Talk just a little bit about, I want to hear about the people that are coming to
Yeah.
perform because you've got this idea of the young people and a stage to educate, music educational stages, the best in the Northwest. And then you bring people like Elvin Bishop out. It appreciates all levels of music.
Yeah, it's important to us for the festival is produced by our nonprofit Bravo Concerts Northwest, and so we do an annual concert series. We're starting this new program that we weren't able to do in during COVID called Concerts for Kids, where we're going to be performing in elementary schools, where we bring in professional musicians to not just perform but educate kids about the music and the rhythm and the history and the culture and so on. So that aspect, the educational aspect, is important to us. So we have kind of a secondary stage called a music education stage, and we'll have two groups that are performing. We've had, I've had high school groups and middle school groups. This year I have two amateur adult groups that are performing. One is from it's called the Beacock Music Big Band, and it's all guys that are guys and gals that are, for the most part, they're retired, and some are former music educators. Some are they're a retired business person that played in high school and couldn't play ever again, and now I'm retired and I want to play music again. And so this is organized by Beacock Music, which is a big music store here in Southwest Washington. And so we have them performing because it gives them an opportunity to perform in a music festival where, Grammy-winning musicians are performing. So we have them performing in between the main stage acts, like 30-minute sets. Then I have a group that's actually coming up from Newburgh. The guy that runs it is he is on the music faculty at George Fox University. I've known him for a long time, but he has another community group called the Chehalem Jazz Band, which is kind of down in that sort of Newburgh central, kind of Willamette Valley region. So they're going to come and perform on Saturday. So we've got these two kind of education groups that'll be performing in between the main acts. I've got local Pacific Northwest musicians that are performing as well. I know all these people, and some of them are good friends of mine. Jasnam Daya Singh is a phenomenal piano player. He actually plays in my quartet and performs on our concert series, but he's a composer as well. So he's performing on Saturday with a chamber group with strings, and performing pretty much all of his original compositions on Saturday. We had talked a little bit earlier, I think, about the Seattle Women's Jazz Orchestra and their 17-piece big band, all female. Part of their mission is involving girls and women in music, particularly jazz music, as performers, composers, educators, arrangers. So they're performing on Saturday. On Saturday also we have, I think you had mentioned Elvin Bishop, and I have Elvin Bishop finishing out on Saturday night. He's a rock and roll Hall of Fame and blues Hall of Fame musician. He's been around, honestly, since 1964. So what is that, 60 years, I guess, performing. And he's literally performed with everybody, he goes back to Woodstock. And, so he's like one of these crossover musicians between pop and rock and blues and jazz. And, it's just so much fun to have somebody like that there. Right before him, I've got Marcus Roberts, who is a world-class jazz pianist, and he's a Grammy winner. His jazz trio will be here. They're going to do just jazz standards and some of his compositions as well. We have this Latin and Mediterranean group called the Rumba Kings, which are performing on Saturday. I've got the U.S. Navy band, jazz band that's performing on Saturday. So, you have a mix of big band and swing and Latin and Mediterranean and rock and blues and straight ahead jazz. So people will come and sit and kind of let their finances, let their troubles at business, let their family issues go away for a weekend, or at least that day, and just kind of immerse themselves in music and art and food and wine. And that's part of what we do, part of why we do it.
Yeah. We're talking about the Vancouver Wine and Jazz Festival, and I've had the opportunity over several of those years to just be there. And when you walk in the space, of course, most of our listeners are familiar, I hope, with Esther Short Park. It's all gated off. But when you walk into that space, and it's a very family friendly, it's a very comfortable place. It's not a crazy party place. We're talking about appreciating culture, appreciating art. People bring their big towels and their little chairs, and they get their spot, like for the parade, for the weekend. This is my spot. So they can have their spot. They can go walk around, visit with the different businesses. But just describe, Michael, the environment, because I think it is something that anybody can come, feel comfortable. And then you're always hearing the music. I mean, wherever you go, it's like, wow, this is amazing. The beautiful music that surrounds a place.
Yeah, this is in Esther Short Park, which is right in downtown Vancouver. It's basically like two huge city blocks. I mean, in fact, it's the oldest public park in the Pacific Northwest. So there's a real history in that park as well. So the park is it's grass. There's plenty of shade. There's huge old Douglas firs that are in this park. So there's places where people kind of stake their territory out under the shade. There's sun, it's grass, there's a brick plaza. And what people do is typically they'll come in early. It's like staking your territory out for the Rose Festival parade, where you put your duct tape down on the street, So people will come in, they'll put their blankets down, or they'll put their lawn chairs or their sand chairs, and they'll stay all day. I mean, gates will open at 11. They'll come in at 11, 11:30, put their stuff down. They bring a book. They bring a magazine. They'll listen to music. They might take a nap. They'll get up, get something to eat. They'll walk around, look at the art. They may buy art and buy wine and beer and food and come back. And so it's a place where you can come and bring your blanket, bring your lawn chair, bring your kids. Kids are free. Kids 12 and younger are free. It's very family oriented. And people will come and stay all day, and they'll stake their place out either in the sun, in front of the stage, off to the side in the shade, and they'll hang out and listen to great music. And then they'll do other things throughout the day. They'll check out the art. They'll get some wine. They'll get food, lunch. They'll get dinner. So that's what we want. This is not a concert. This is a festival, and it's in the sort of the European tradition of festival, meaning that it's immersive. We have fine art, we have wine, we have food, we have music. It's in a public place, so it's about community. People come and gather together. There'll be people that come every year from, we can look on the tickets. We can see where they're coming from Tri-Cities, and they're coming from Seattle, or there's a group this year that's coming from Miami. We have people that are flying out from Miami. They have 9 hotel rooms they've already booked. So it's not just a concert. It's community, and that's what you want.
Well, and Michael, I don't want to miss mentioning over 200 volunteers. I mean, the people who come to stand, because you can't do this and pay a huge staff and be able to try to break even. But the volunteers come with big hearts. They love it. They love the mission. They want to be part of it. And if they can get a t-shirt, it's a win-win. But talk about the volunteer effort, because that's how you really build such a great event.
Yeah, we have well over probably 100 to 150 volunteers There's like 200 volunteer spots, over the weekend where people, they pour wine, they pour beer, they work backstage. They are in the VIP suites, where they're kind of host or hostess in the VIP suites. They work at the front gate, checking people in and selling tickets. We have a professional security team, but we have volunteer security as well. People set up, they help to set up, they help to break down, they put banners up. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are hundreds and hundreds of hours, volunteer, human hours that it takes people to do this. So it's always funny, we have these volunteer meetings to kind of train everybody. And there are people that show up that have done this for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, and they own it. It's their event. They have real ownership of it, and they have real pride in it. And, they show up with their 2013 t-shirt on.
That's right.
I don't even have a 2013 t-shirt. I couldn't lay my hands on one. But, they come up with when they come to our volunteer meetings, they wear their old shirts, and inevitably I say, well, who's been here for more than 10 years? And it's, half the people.
Yeah. So
we have that group of volunteers, and then we have 19 volunteers on our staff that I can't tell you. Well, actually, I know how many man hours they put in, but these are like the stage crew and our front gate managers and all these people that are on our staff. Well, they probably put in, I would say, over the course of a year, 50 to 75 hours. Yeah. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like 2 to 3 weeks of, full-time employment that they're doing on their own, as our staff. So there's a lot of behind the scenes things that go on. Our sponsors, we have, Vancouver Toyota has been there for 15 or 16 years. Thompson Metal Fab, they're a huge manufacturing company in Vancouver that builds these huge steel beams and really, really cool stuff. Well, they've been our sponsor for 3 years now. You can look on I'm going to miss somebody because we have 15 or 20 sponsors, but we can't do it without those people and without that community involvement, because it's just, the expense of this is just enormous, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. It's just enormously expensive. And so you have volunteers, you have sponsors, you have in-kind sponsors that provide things that you can't even, it's like people will see a grand piano on stage and, well, that's Portland Piano provides that grand piano. That's a huge cost. All kinds of things. I mean, if I keep going, I leave out all my sponsors, but I don't want to do that. But so you have all of that community network and community involvement in order to bring world-class music, blues and jazz and art and food. That's the purpose.
That's the purpose. Well, it is the #1 cultural tourism event in Southwest Washington. It is the largest jazz festival of its kind, and we are so excited to be part of it here and really to be part of the Pacific Northwest. It's called the Vancouver Wine and Jazz Festival. VancouverWineJazz.com is the website to get tickets, to hear the music of the musicians that are coming up, to get all of the information. And we're going to have links to that here on this podcast as well, Michael. I just will continue to pray for your team as you prepare for those final days to set everything up. And then you open up the doors again, August 23, 24, 25. So Godspeed on all of this great work. And I'll look forward to seeing you afterwards, maybe with a little cheer and a little Washington vino.
Oh, you can come backstage, Dina, come backstage with a brew. Sunday night, we'll see you backstage, you and Rob, and come backstage. We'll have some celebration with the Brubeck brothers, probably Charlie Musselwhite and the band. Oh, it'll be fun backstage. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Michael. God bless.
Okay. Bye-bye.